WWE may be switching things up for the World Heavyweight title, so we'll see what's rumored there. We'll also check out what's new for Damage CTRL, Bayley, and more. Starting things off with Seth Rollins in the World Heavyweight title scene. After a very scary close call with Seth's knee injury, the World Heavyweight title will not be coming off of Seth's waist after all. Seth's promo from the January 22nd edition of Raw highlighted how the doctors had informed him that for a smooth recovery, they recommended surgery, and how that'll keep him out of action anywhere from 3 to 4 months. But considering that WrestleMania is right around the corner and how he's currently in the middle of a pretty lengthy title reign, surgery just clearly isn't an option right now for Seth Rollins. He made it sound like he was going against doctors' orders and will be letting the knee heal on its own without the surgery. So, Seth may be fully cleared to compete again in several weeks. But the big rumor and fan belief is that, as a precaution, WWE will most likely keep Seth Rollins completely out of the ring until WrestleMania 40 itself, just to give him the most time to get healthy without risking another injury. That appears to be the plan. Seth Rollins will hold on to the World Heavyweight title and walk into WrestleMania as champion despite the injury. Like we talked about during the Judgment Day storyline breakdown, Damian Priest should be salivating at this golden opportunity. You have a world champion that's walking around as a very vulnerable and injured prey. It's every Money in the Bank contract holder's dream. But for whatever reason, Damian Priest doesn't want to take the advantage of the injured world champion, and would rather enter the Royal Rumble match instead of working on a plan to cash in his contract. So the usage of the Money in the Bank contract right now is very suspect. You don't want to say everything with the contract is poorly written, but the Money in the Bank contract should definitely feel like a bigger threat than what it currently feels like. Even with a serious knee injury, everyone expects Seth Rollins to just simply walk into WrestleMania as champion. There's no real threat or fear for a cash-in happening before then. Damian Priest's Money in the Bank contract just feels like it's non-existent at times. And maybe there's a storyline-related reason to that. Maybe between fighting with Rhea Ripley, facing Drew McIntyre, and preparing to defend his tag team titles, maybe Damian Priest just has too much on his plate right now to even think about coming up with a plan to cash in. And maybe that's a good enough story explanation for Damian ignoring an injured Seth Rollins. So with Damian Priest's contract usage being a massive question mark, who's the next biggest threat to Seth Rollins' World Heavyweight title? Well, CM Punk has been the popular fan pick to potentially face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for a long time now. CM Punk was a big fan favorite pick to win Royal Rumble and make that World Heavyweight title match take place at WrestleMania. That's what everyone has been expecting. But Sports Illustrated is now reporting that things may be going in a whole other direction that no one expected. As we saw during Seth's promo, he was interrupted by Intercontinental Champion Gunther, who also made his intentions pretty clear. Gunther acknowledged how Seth and himself have been avoiding each other for quite some time now, but that they won't be able to continue avoiding each other after Gunther wins the Royal Rumble and challenges Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther and Seth Rollins shook hands, and that interaction ended pretty peacefully. But apparently that segment there wasn't done for no reason. SI reports that WWE could be heading in the direction of having Seth Rollins versus Gunther take place at WrestleMania 40, instead of CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. And if that's the direction that WWE decides to go in for Seth Rollins, then that would shake up the entire landscape of the WrestleMania 40 card. If they go with Gunther versus Seth Rollins, that now leaves CM Punk with a big WrestleMania match on Raw. And considering that world title match would include Gunther and Seth Rollins, two of Raw's other biggest stars, there really wouldn't be much left for CM Punk to work with at WrestleMania from Raw. Maybe if Cody Rhodes doesn't end up facing Roman Reigns, maybe CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 would be another idea to go with. Everyone saw and loved that promo exchange between CM Punk and Cody Rhodes on Raw. It was a heavy and an intense exchange of words that featured heavy verbal blows every few seconds. And that was just to hype up the Royal Rumble. So imagine what the both of them could cook up with an actual WrestleMania feud between the two of them. That could be the backup plan if Punk won't be coming after Seth Rollins. And if Gunther does go after Seth Rollins, that cancels out everyone's dream match of seeing Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 40. And if Punk and Cody are together, then who's Roman Reigns' WrestleMania opponent? Will it be Roman Reigns versus The Rock after all? So as you can see, the butterfly effect will really come into play if WWE decides to go with Gunther versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. That'll shake up the entire WrestleMania card for a lot of top stars. Gunther versus Seth Rollins is a big match that no one was thinking of until now, but it definitely could be massive. Assuming Gunther also holds onto his Intercontinental title into WrestleMania 40, you're talking about the chance for Gunther to unify the Intercontinental and World Heavyweight title. It's been quite a long time since we've seen a superstar hold both the mid-card and world titles. The most recent case was 2015, when Seth Rollins held the United States and WWE title together at the same time. So if Gunther is able to unify those titles, that would put him down in the history books with some very elite company. And if Gunther is able to do that, and Roman is able to also walk out of WrestleMania 40 as champion, you just got to assume that those two would be on a collision course to face each other now, and that could be another major money match for WWE to cash out on. Roman Reigns and his historic unified title reign going up against Gunther's historic unified title reign. That would be a massive matchup. So be on the lookout for the next few days here to see if WWE decides to go in that direction for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Damage Control made a rare appearance on Raw this week that was pretty important. Damage Control is obviously a Smackdown faction, so it does bother some fans when superstars can just appear out of nowhere on any brand whenever they want. But it looks like with this appearance, there was some reasons of explanation. Bayley and Damage Control were seen in the background of some backstage Raw segments, presumably sneaking into the building and trying not to get noticed since they don't belong on Raw. So that appears to be how they got in. But Bayley would interrupt a promo between Nia Jax and Becky Lynch to talk about how she was there to get some face-to-face time with Rhea Ripley, to warn her that she was coming after Rhea after winning the Rumble. But Bayley instead gets involved with this conversation between Becky and Nia and ends up getting laid out by the end of the segment. It's an age-old WWE theory that whoever stands tall before a big premium live event show is likely to lose, while whoever's on the floor could be more likely to win. And taking that old fan belief into consideration, Becky Lynch was standing tall here while Bayley was laid out. So we'll have to see what that turns out to mean. It's also important to note that Iyo Sky was not present during this Damage Control invasion of Raw. In reality, maybe it was travel issues or anything else like that, but Io's absence also works within the storyline. Why wasn't Iyo there within the story? Did Bayley purposely leave her out? Did Bayley not want Iyo there? Why and how did Iyo end up missing this invasion? And will that boil up into even more issues between Iyo and Bayley? That's a pretty cool little element that they could definitely play with because Iyo was missing in action from the invasion. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.